Right, well then, I'll just start. Hey guys, welcome to the Talking No Express episode 4 in your house, Bad Blood. I'm Lewis, I'm joined by Thomas and Oliver. A few facts about Bad Blood before we begin. It was the 18th edition of the In Your House series produced by WWF at the time, preceded by Ground Zero, and it would be followed by D-Generation X. It occurred on October 5th, 1997 at the Kiel Center in St. Louis, Missouri, drawing an audience of 21,151 fans and a pay-per-view buy rate of 240,000. It was made up of 7 matches, giving it a 2-hour and 49-minute runtime. On commentary, you've got, for the last time no less, the team of Jim Ross, Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler. The card consists of a 3-on-2 handicap match with the Nation of Domination, D'Lo, Mustafa and an up-and-coming Young Rock versus the LOD, Max Mini and Nova versus Mosaic and Tarantula, the Godwins versus the Headbangers for the tag titles, Owen Hart versus Farouk, the DOA, 8-Ball Chains, Skull, 8-Ball Chains, Crush and Skull versus Los Boricuas, Jesus Castillo Jr., Jose Estrada Jr., Miguel Perez Jr. and Savio Vega, Bret Hart and British Bulldog versus the Patriot and Vader, and finally Little Old Michaels versus Taker in the first ever Hell in a Cell match for the number 1 contender shot at Bret Hart's WWF title at Survivor Series. You guys ready to begin?
Absolutely.
Right, first impressions of the pay-per-view.
Well, I want to see how this number 1 contenders match plays out. I think the Michaels versus Hart World Heavyweight Survivor Series is going to play
that infamous Hart Taker match.
I was about to say that was that Hart Taker match at Survivor Series 97.
Yeah, it was crazy to see Taker getting booed.
Well.
Boy, that Taker versus Bret Hart match at Mania 14 really lifted the lid, didn't it?
I enjoyed Bret's long tenure with the company afterwards.
Yeah, scandal free.
I actually found this outside of the main event. I found it quite tepid.
I feel like, I absolutely agree. If you took the Michaels versus Taker match out of this, it would be a terrible pay-per-view.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm watching, I remember having a lot more love for this pay-per-view than I did, and I'm watching it and I'm going, it's funny because, I mean, you can split hairs and where the Attitude Era started, but people always romanticise this time and WWE, like, they never done anything wrong. Everything was just gold. And you're watching this going, Money in the Bank was a better pay-per-view.
I'll be completely honest with you. I can't give any commentary on the DOA versus Los Barricas match because I just faded out and started looking at memes.
Absolutely. I've got like 4 pointers for the Los Barricas match, and none of them have anything to do with like any movesets or anything like that. Like, it's like all appearance.
I've got 2 pointers. Is the bell rang at the start and then the bell rang at the end, and I think I woke up at that point.
The Rock was in it. Good future, that kid.
Again, that was something I didn't enjoy. The Rock, because he just kept jumping up and down off the apron. It's like, fuck's sake, man, just do some wrestling.
I don't think The Rock was in the Los Barricas match. I think he was in the Nation of Domination match that happened with the LOD at the start. I don't know if he was in the DOA versus.
No, he wasn't in the DOA match.
Yeah. Right off the bat, we go back to the black and white video package narrated by that guy that did seemingly every other show in 1997. This is the second pay-per-view package in a row painting Shawn as the face of the company. This is only a month before Survivor Series, and in the video clip, the black and white video clip, we see Shawn's little stunt that he pulled on an episode of Raw where he came to the ring wearing the stuffed bike shorts, motioning at his dick the entire time, and cut a promo on WWF and Undertaker when neither Vince or Mark Calloway were in the building that night, leading to Shawn being fined $10,000. In your opinion, guys, should Shawn really have been properly fined for this stunt? And was it the smartest move to put, not even 30 days later, the strap on him?
He was untouchable at this point, really, wasn't he? If he literally could do anything he wanted. And we mentioned that last week as well. And it's not for me to say he was off his face at Ground Zero, but I would you argue against it when he comes to the ring? One night only. I mean, he's got the fucking European Championship here. Why? You say he's getting the belt at Survivor Series. Oh, he's probably always going to be at Survivor Series. Let's be honest. And he's rocking down the European Championship for no reason whatsoever. It's not on the line. He's not defending it. And he beats the Bulldog for it in the UK. It was just kind of a case of, I want that belt, I've not had it before, and they gave it. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, it's one of those, I guess, as well. Whatever they find him, they just make up in T-shirt sales anyway. So, was there any point in finding him? Was there any point in actually punishing him for something that's going to make the company tens of thousands of dollars anyway?
Was it even a real fine though? Was it just a kind of? I can imagine it did get the bother for it, but token fine.
Yeah, because looking forward at what happened, it's a case of it didn't really change the course of anything. He still got the strap put on him. He still main evented the pay-per-view.
Do you think it was a kind of case of it was like, I'm going to find Shawn for this in case anybody else has any ideas?
Yeah, I think it was more not so much to punish Michaels, but to warn everybody else.
I'll tell you what, boys, seeing that old PlayStation logo at the start made me feel all the feels. I felt like we were off to a good note starting there, and then it just immediately took a roller coaster off a cliff.
Yeah, it was a real Nom-style flashback. What shit? I remember the PlayStation.
I like the PlayStation. Do you like the PlayStation?
PlayStation.
I want to say this is the first kind of decidedly modern looking set, like in terms of production design. Like there's not a whole lot to it. It's just two gates. It feels very kind of ECW-y. Like it feels like they're really going minimalist. Like the wheels are already turning for the Attitude Era. There's not a lot of.
What I really enjoy and really miss is just the really simplistic barriers as well. So that I can't describe them like the crowd control barriers they have around the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Nice and simple. I kind of miss that.
I know there's something just dead kind of gritty looking about them as well compared to these big massive plastic crash barrier things.
Yeah, because that looks like something you'd get in the soft play. If someone gets back body dropped onto it, you're like, so what? But if you get back body dropped onto a crowd control barrier, that's it. Your spine's in two pieces, mate.
Did you ever see that clip of the guy in ECW where he's leaning against the barrier and the guy comes
is it Mike Russell when he does the suicide dive?
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's back and like, how you shouldn't be able to fold that way. And the worst thing is, I think these new barriers have injured more people.
Yeah, because they just look like big black cardboard, didn't they? They look like harmless.
I think they've got quite sharp edges as well. At least with the old barriers, they're a bit more rounded, as daft as it sounds.
Yeah.
You're being dropped on a barrier either way, but it feels like the round one's a bit more.
Kofi Kingston owes his career to the barriers for his annual Royal Rumble appearance.
Yeah.
Right, NOD versus LOD. As the Nation of Domination's music is playing, Vince says we will be providing health updates on Brian Pillman. In terms of taste, how would you have handled that? Because, I mean, we'll get into I've got an entire section dedicated to Pillman here, which I want to get into. But initially, just the idea of we're going to be providing health updates as the thing goes on. I would have done it.
It's weird, because obviously this is back in the day where you probably couldn't even get the internet or the dirt sheets as quickly as you can do these days. So you probably could have kept it on the down low for the entire pay-per-view and maybe said something after. It feels like you're using the death of Brian Pillman to retain your viewership for the evening. And the whole way, at the start of this case, we've heard that Brian Pillman's died. We'll tell you more later. It felt like a work as well. Obviously, looking back on it, you know that it's true, but it just felt like they were doing it as a bit rather than anything serious. It felt a bit tasteless to me.
It was strange, and it was like, I don't even think there was any ill intended with it either. I don't even think it was as well thought out as anything. I think it was a kind of case of they think they're doing the right thing, probably, by keeping people informed, but at the same time, it was, as you're saying, it's kind of in between matches and during this and that, and it felt like part of the show. Whether it was obviously it was real, but even as a real event, it did feel like intertwined it as part of the show in a strange way, and it was strange. I don't know the best way he handled something like that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll save the kind of the common stuff for later on. Hawk immediately cuts a pre-match promo. On the subject of the Road Warriors, did either of you catch the Dark Side of the Ring episode that they did on Vice?
I did.
No, not yet.
No, yeah, you should watch it all. It is really incredible. Love the Dark Side of the Ring stuff. Has just been fantastic.
No, it's so well done.
Yeah, it's really, really high grade. One of the things I was reading in Leon White's book, Vader Time, that you should absolutely read, is that he worked with some others in training the kind of the young Dwayne Johnson. Was there a better group of veterans and new talent that Rocket could have worked with than 1997 WWF? That feels like peak apprenticeship right there.
No, that's the perfect apprenticeship for any wrestler.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this is the first time since we started that we've actually seen Kama Mustafa / Papa Shango / The Godfather. What do you guys make of Charles Wright as a worker?
I think he's. I don't even think he was necessarily really that kind of bad or anything special. But unfortunately for him, he kind of existed in a time where there's so much good talent as well that he needed something extra to stand out. He was always lumped with rubbish characters up until eventually he became the Godfather when he really kind of showed. I mean, I can't tell you any Godfather matches, but I enjoyed the hell out of him. And I remember seeing him there an appearance at ICW a few years ago, and it was excellent. Came out, done his shtick. I don't even think had a match actually. I think he just kind of done a kind of bit, but it was excellent. It was fun. It was actually what you wanted. But unfortunately, it was kind of sad over his characters. It never really helped him, in my opinion. But I thought he was all right. It was fine, big, strong kind of bully kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
It looked apart.
Yeah, I enjoyed him in this match, and I enjoyed him as a worker. But I think, yeah, he got lumped with the shit gimmicks as well, because he was in Nation of Domination, and then he was in Right to Censor. And then after that, he was a Godfather, yeah, which was a good, funny character, but he didn't really. It feels like he deserves more as a wrestler.
Mm-hmm. Was not the Godfather first, then Right to Censor? Was that no his heel turn? Was it Good Father? Something stupid. That was him repenting his ways, I think.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I forgot there was a little bit where he was the Godfather and then became the Good Father.
See, when he first before he joined the Nation, was there no some kind of MMA style gimmick?
I think originally when Kama Mustafa had like the red kind of singlet and the mohawk, I'm sure that was originally what his whole deal was. I think he was originally like a club bouncer or something like that in real life, and before he ended up getting
his stories are brilliant. His stories
the brawl for all episodes, he managed to like knock people out with a slap, which is the end game, isn't it?
I'm looking forward to the episode we do on Right to Censor.
Well, next week I was hoping, like, because by this point the Owen Hart episode will be out, I was like, next week I was planning on alternative pitches we could do for season 3 if it ever gets made, which it probably will. I'm assuming there's a lot of scandals left. Right, NOD versus LOD. Not that Rock needs any praise here or anything, but I feel obligated to say what a soft worker. I mean, his work punches and his work kicks are so safe. I mean, is it any wonder this guy goes to the top? I mean, who wouldn't want to work with him?
Mm-hmm.
He is soft as silk.
He's great. And again, something that really surprised me is just how much the crowd is into this. This gets a real rise out of the St. Louis natives. Nice contrast there with what is arguably one of the softest workers of all time, Rocky, and one of the stiffest workers of all time, Hawk. Do you think Rock versus Hawk was an inside joke by McMahon?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. Nation of Domination picks up the win early on with a rock bottom to Hawk. Opinion on this match? I really, really like it. For what it's worth, it's a speedy little thing. There's nothing really technical.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, the only negatives that I kind of see is LOD being the opener. I think based on the crowd reception, they still had a lot of drawing power. I wouldn't have necessarily. This feels to me like a match you would have put on 3/4 the way through the show. This doesn't really feel like a crowd opener to me. But I love it.
I think the kind of maybe the kind of thing with that is it's good. It got the crowd fired up having the LED out. I don't think there was a lot of interest in the nation really at this point. Maybe that kind of saddled the match where it was, but yeah, I thought it was a decent opener for what it was. It was quite fun, kind of high impact kind of match. If it being like high flying or that, I just mean like quite physical.
It was a solid opening match. I personally, if I could rebook this, I'd have put it up 4th or 5th in the card. I think, nation domination, not really the main event tag team, but you could have brought it along with Legion of Doom. You could have used them to drag it along. It didn't matter who they were fighting because Legion of Doom in there. And like you said, Lewis, the crowd were really into it. It pissed me off that like Rock kept jumping on and off the apron. But the interaction, whenever they started singing Rocky Sucks and they like get off and like, no, I'm not doing it. I did enjoy that.
Right, so after that we get the Sonny and Doc Hendricks backstage promo. I made a note of this after I watched Dark Side of the Ring. I watched the Road Warriors documentary that the WWE actually did. It's still on the network. Has any wrestler aged as fast as Michael P.S.A.'s has in the span of 10 years? Going back and watching his stuff like with the Fabulous Freebirds, and then he's got like the big Lions Mane thing going on with the chest and the hair and that. Seeing him in 1997, it's like two different people. It really is. Right, after that...
He looks like a prototype Joe Exotic.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've made that connection before.
Bulimic Joe Exotic. No, bulimic Michael P.S.A.'s. Right, after that we get, and arguably the saddest kind of announcement, we get Brian Pillman's death broadcast. Right, not an easy thing to talk about by any means, but personally going from the All Smiles Sunny backstage with the Steve Blackman stock music playing in the background, I immediately got whiplash from the contrast right as they're announcing it here. And what's worse is right after they announce Brian Pillman's death, they go straight to the midget comedy match. Opinion on this segment, because I feel like now we can kind of...
That was the kind of thing that kind of really stuck with me. Because obviously I knew about Brian Pillman's death. I knew it was going to be announced on the show. I remember it for the time. But I forgot it went straight to the mini match. And I'm just like, okay, the scramble to get something to fill I think it was Dude Love was supposed to fight Brian Pillman originally. And they're scrambling for something to kind of fill that void. And that's what they went for. Now, obviously, a lot of people in the crowd probably don't know about Brian Pillman, as you mentioned as well, Ollie. It's not like people sitting on Twitter and Facebook and that and can find out the news. But it was weird watching it at home. It was strange.
It's one of those, watching it feels like I was watching it out of my body. Like I was looking at myself on the sofa watching this. Because he was looking at, there was the segment, the Sunny segment with Sunny. And then you go to, and to be honest, Vince's tone, it was quite nonchalant as well. Because obviously Brian Pillman was a big draw, and it's a case of, Brian Pillman's dead. We've rushed around, we've clubbed together, and we found something to entertain you. Like, we've rushed around, this is what we've clubbed together. And then, you have the sort of like the comic relief, and it just...
Very Game of Thrones-y. Now I think about it, they just completely it's like that bit in season 1 where Ned Stark gets his head cut off, and then the next episode it's just they grieve over it for all the 5 seconds where Rob Stark hitting the tree, and then it just goes back to being Game of Thrones. Sure. The only kind of thing I can really draw the comparison with, and I know this is going to sound controversial, but I would not have announced it either. I wouldn't have certainly announced it during that pay-per-view. I wouldn't have announced it that day. In fact, I would have saved it for the post Bad Blood episode of Raw.
I would have had it at the start of Raw. Either somber McMahon in the ring announcing the death of Pillman, or just on commentary have them facing it and be like, yesterday before Bad Blood, Brian Pillman sadly died, blah 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 blah, obviously, and then make it look like you give a shit.
It's interesting because with the with this match as well is that the last episode we put over Max Mini and El Torito quite a lot, and really gave them the benefit of doubt in terms of how they went and used them as wrestlers. And I think all that kind of good work was undone here by the timing and the position of the match. Because as you say, it was kind of Games of Thrones in a way. It was like, right, now we've had the kind of this, now we bring out the entertainment. And it was just kind of like, yeah, this is the best you could have done, guys. Did you have to have this match here?
You could have done nothing, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, I would have made a habit of telling the boys backstage ASAP.
Yeah.
Which is what I have a hunch that they did later on. We'll talk about that. But
yeah,
I would told the boys, the cast and crew would have been the people to know as soon as I was in charge of this, but obviously I wasn't. Right, getting on to the Max Mini and Nova match. Jesus Christ, there are so many botches in this match. It's like watching four Sin Caras fight one another. It's really, really bad.
It was not what I'd call a marquee match.
No, it was bad. It was actually one point McMahon points at why the botches and just goes, "What was that?"
Well, Jim Ross is like every other 13 seconds. Oh, we didn't quite get all of that.
Yeah, it was.
The fuck up.
Yeah, you wouldn't think these were like trained wrestlers that he'd fight about and just Vince went to the streets and went, "Hey, anybody want to earn some money?" Especially how good the match was at Ground Zero, and how good especially Max Mini was, and how fluent it was, and how fluid. And then this was just, I know it was kind of last minute and stuff, but yeah, it wasn't a good match at all.
I mean, it's over really before it even begins. That was looking at what I've got here. Max Mini versus El Torito at Ground Zero is like Savage and Steamboat compared to this. I mean, I'm going to give it a 1.5 out of 5. I really can't even conjure up much interest in this. And it's amazing, after this, I never wanted to see another Max Mini match.
I'd give it in the background of everything as well. I'd give it a 1 because it just seems in poor taste. Because like last week we were putting it over and saying, you know what, actually, it's if they want to do it and it's done in good faith, and yeah, absolutely. But this feels like an employee of the company and a wrestler you enjoy watching is dead. Here's some midgets for you to laugh at. It's really quite jarring and yet in quite poor taste.
That's exactly what the tone felt like to me. And I've seen this pay-per-view loads of times. I haven't watched it in a long time up until the weekend there. And that's the first time it's really hit me.
Yeah, because they're still making the short jokes. Vince is still doing his the match. Like Jesus. During, I think, Max Mini's... No, it's the heels that come out first. So it's Tarantula and Mosaic. And there's about 20 seconds of dead air on commentary. And then immediately goes into short jokes with Jerry Lawler and the yuck stuff with Vince. It's really, again, whiplash is the only word that kind of comes to mind.
Yeah, it's one of those. Obviously, we know Vince is a complete and utter fucking madman. But the fact that someone you employ and, have a duty of care over has died. And, yeah, you are doing that... at some short people, and it's like, what the fuck, man?
Somebody who we knowingly threw out there while working on a damaged leg, and we knew he was on painkillers.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, watching it as well. Like, whenever I think of another sport, so I don't know, football, cricket, any motorsport, when you talk of someone who died during the line of duty, you're talking a real this was a real watershed moment. It was a real eye opener. When you talk about, when we watch pay-per-view like this, you can literally point and be like, he's dead, in a real nonchalant way, because it's just so matter of fact.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I feel exactly what you're saying with football and cricket and that. I mean, I can remember years and years and years ago. You can remember when Fabrice Muhamba had his heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that was like national news for a week, because it was really stop and go, and we didn't even know if he was going to make it or not. But that was just, I mean, compared to this, it's like 20 seconds of dead air is consolation, I guess. That's just,
yeah. There's all you're getting.
Right, getting into the tag team match. Heel Godwins. It feels like that doesn't really make sense. They're coming out with the Confederate flags and everything like that, but the whole concept of like the evil redneck, I don't get it. Really don't get it.
No, he's basically, you can see here they're trying to make cartoon characters in the Attitude Era, so they're edgy and they're a bit more kind of grimy and gritty than you'd expect for the like maybe 2 years prior, even a year prior. But it's just cheap and lazy.
Yeah, right. Shot in the dark here. Wouldn't it have had more sense to have the militant black faction against the team that comes to the ring with fucking Confederate flags?
You know for a fact that was mentioned. But the problem with the idea of the NOD being the heels in that match was probably a bit too controversial.
Yeah.
For Vince.
Vince was like, well, we've got to have the NOD versus the LOD because it rhymes.
It's Nod versus Lord. It's one of those as well. I think if you made the Nod the heels against the Godwins, again, like Bret Hart being an anti-MAGA kind of guy, it would be fucking feral. Like, there would be people, like, kicking the barriers over to try and get to the Nation of Domination.
Definitely. Because they had a storyline with Hart Foundation versus the Nation where DX put racist graffiti in the Nation's locker room and they blamed the Hart Foundation for it. And then I was watching a clip of this on YouTube a while ago and I hadn't seen it in over 20 years. And it's a clip that is aged interestingly. Because at the time it was obviously quite controversial, but it's actually even more crazy watching it now. And there's really like horrific racist graffiti in the room and that, and the Nation are being booed for talking about being racially abused.
I think it all depends on what state that Raw took place in. Yeah, again, I feel like had the Nation of Domination been like a staunchly anti-white faction, they really could have pushed that thing to the moon. Like, I don't know if you've watched that New Jack episode of That Side of the Ring. There's that clip from Smoky Mountain in 1994 where he comes out and he says, "Big ups to my boy OJ." And you think in Mississippi, well, and again, this was in this wasn't just South, this was Deep South. And you think, you just imagine a crowd of angry white rednecks like swinging Stanley knives, like darts, ready for New Jack.
That's crazy. Yeah. Are we fit to mention here before we move on? Sorry. Do you remember a storyline they kind of flirted with where Vince McMahon was racist because he was never a black WWF champion? There was an interview with Farouk, and Farouk was talking about, this is before Ahmed Johnson joined the Nation, this is before Ahmed Johnson turned heel. So this is about maybe like May, June, and Farouk's talking, he's like this, now you ask Vince McMahon, well, he's never been a black WWF champion, and you tell me he's no racist. Bear in mind, Farouk's a bad guy here. And then interviews Ahmed Johnson, who's a good guy, and he says, well, he's got a point though, hasn't he? There's never been a black WWF champion. And I'm like, okay, it was just disgusting that Vince McMahon picks champions here, because this is a storyline that's interesting in itself without the racist angle, and then it just quietly disappeared.
Well, it's quite funny.
Until WrestleMania last year.
One of the things that gets brought up in that Titan sinking book by James Dixon is they're talking about when Ahmed won the Intercontinental title. It was the first time an African American had won really a title in general, and one of the things he goes back to Vince's office after he wins the IC strap and says, why hasn't there been a black world champion? And Vince's reaction is, I give you a title and you call me a racist.
See, to be fair with Ahmed Johnson though, he should have been lucky he had any title.
Yeah. Again, this could be very well, rumour and conjecture coming from Ahmed. I think he has been known to spin the truth in the back.
It does. It was Mark Hendry, it was on Steve Austin's podcast, and they were talking about that because Ahmed Johnson spread the rumour that Austin was racist. And Austin was talking about it in the podcast, and Mark Hendry was saying, look, I didn't believe that for a second. And they talk about Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah.
He just talks a lot of shite, basically.
Yeah. The other things they mentioned is when Ahmed won the IC title, he supposedly had the N-word spray painted on his rental car when he was coming out of the arena that night, which, again, is shocking.
Mm-hmm.
But pointing the finger at Steve Austin, I feel like Steve was a little higher on the totem pole at that point to really maybe concern himself with Ahmed. Anyway, the tag team match, there was a spot at the beginning of the match where Headbanger Mosh spits into the air and catches it in his mouth to try and out-redneck the redneck. That's kind of emblematic of this match, to be honest. It's just disgust. there's a really, really ugly spot where Phineas gets dropped on his head. I don't know if you saw it. Remember it?
Yeah.
That was really ugly.
Because commentators mentioned it as well. I think it might be the King, and he was saying, what is it where people try to break the Godwin's neck? Because obviously the LOD thing, the botched Doomsday device, and he did land in his neck and break it. Yeah, it wasn't a very good match overall, I didn't think.
Do you feel, as a sidebar, that the quality of wrestling has improved over, say, the last 20 years?
Across the card?
Yes, no. I'm kind of conflicted. Obviously, nowadays guys are working on more faster-paced athletic style, but it was quite fun. I was watching an episode of AEW on ITV Hub, because I recently only discovered that it was on ITV4, like it's actually streamed to British telly. And I was watching it, and I don't know if it's because we're so desensitized to watching the 90s pay-per-views. One of the things I immediately picked up on is nobody's selling. Storytelling, nobody's selling. And I think for as much, like today's wrestling is objectively better from an athletic standpoint, but I like seeing guys pretend that they're hurt. I like seeing guys work on legs and work on arms and stuff like that. And I didn't hate the episode of AEW, but it could have been better. Was the one thing I was thinking of.
That's a fair point. That's both fair points, actually. I can see how you're arguing. So I'm going to sit in the fence with it.
Best way to be.
Yeah.
Well, my dad, who's not into wrestling at all, I was like trying to get him into it. I was like, what's the best match a kid can do to properly show him what today's stuff is all about? And I showed him the Will Ospreay versus Ricochet match.
And you were going to say that.
Where it's backflip, cartwheel, front flip, somersault, 370-degree flips and that. And it was like watching it, and it was like, this is like watching Obi-Wan fight Darth Maul from the Phantom Menace. It's like such a choreographed. Don't get me wrong, it's stunning.
Yeah.
Match, it really, really is. But 30 years ago, that match could never have happened. Like that Harley race, had the Harley race days been around, and a match like that had came out, both those guys would have been fired instantly because it looked too fluid. It just looked too clean.
It didn't look like a fight.
No, it didn't. It was like watching a very, very small scale parkour. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's over. Shockingly, I completely forgot about the Godwin's heel run, and I completely forgot about them winning the tag team straps. I immediately thought, because I didn't remember the Godwins having the tag belts, there's a whole ruckus like after the match where they keep kicking the headbangers, and I thought that was going to be the spot where they reversed the decision and they put the straps back on the headbangers, but they didn't. Again, it's a real 1 out of 5 match. It's just sloppy, ironically, very fitting of the Godwins, but there's not a whole lot to like here.
I was very underwhelmed with the headbangers being given the belts in the first place, and taking it after them a month later from the guys they beat in that fatal 4-way match, just made their title run pointless, in my opinion. And you've got the LOD opening pay-per-view. The Godwins are the ones fighting the headbangers in a title match later on the card. Just seemed a bit strange to me.
Yeah.
So after this, we immediately get the Stone Cold package with Vince. I forgot that this had happened on more or less the same kind of episode where Shawn did the stuffed bike short skit. Is Vince's stunner internationally recognised as the worst sell of all time?
Until Donald Trump, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
This is what I was talking about last week with the Steve Austin thing. If Steve Austin didn't break his neck, would we have got the same Steve Austin we got? If Steve Austin didn't break his neck, we wouldn't have had his Vince McMahon stuff. No, I don't think we would have had it in general. I mean, there would be no reason for Vince and Austin to have that talk in the ring had Austin been no injured, kept the belt, and just went on his run. It'd have never come into conflict with McMahon. It had no reason to.
I never thought about that. It's like that kind of butterfly effect of like what happened would he have stalled in the mid card, especially. Although I think what a bigger one is, and I'm hoping that we'll get into this at the In Your House DX show, is Shawn's herniated disc spot at the Royal Rumble '98. Like, how many more years of just politicking and self-destruction would we have gotten had Shawn not herniated the discs in his back.
Fair point. See, I still think that if Austin didn't get injured, I think he'd have still went on to WrestleMania 14 in the title match, because that's the way his career has gone. And we were saying last week as well, like, during that time, you got the IC belt to see how you handled it. Then you got the promotion. It was a progression for guys back then. But I don't think his popularity would have skyrocketed in the same way. That's done it. I mean, he came out of Ground Zero in a crazy pop, fair enough. But when he stunned Vince, his character just went straight to the moon. And this is a guy that wasn't even wrestling. He's the most popular guy in the company. He's not even cleared to wrestle.
Vince's red and black Raw jacket, that still looks icy as fuck, even after all these years. I really wish that I was able to get my hands on that.
I'm Googling that.
It was a fresh look, especially in contrast to Jerry Lawler, who again dresses like the bellboy from a porno set in a hotel. every time we watch one of these, and he's there in like that lapel jacket, lapel at the shoulders, but the way he just looks like a horny hotel bellboy. Every time it just fucking angers me.
Yeah, so immediately after this we get the NWA kind of Legends segment, which is very, very, very un-Vince McMahon to showcase all these non-WWF guys. Apparently this was Jim Cornette's idea from what I've heard. You've got Gene Kiniski, Dory Funk Jr., Harley Race. For some reason, Harley Race reminds me of Goldfinger here with like the hair in that. I don't know why. Again, it's weird to see Vince showcasing all these non-WWF guys. What's your opinion on all this?
Yeah, I agree. It just seemed quite out of place. Not a bad way. It was almost, I mean,
yeah,
you had JR coming out and doing it as well, but it seemed very much like a, dare I say, WCW type thing.
I think as a sidebar to this, you probably could have done that in place of the midget wrestling. So you could have announced Pillman's death and then had the NWA Legends, which fit. Obviously, it's still quite jarring and quite whiplash, but it feels like a more appropriate segue.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did you guys pick up on the VHS static?
Yes.
During this thing, I forgot that this was all pre-recorded. This was all taken from old VHS copies.
I also like that they kept it.
Yeah, so immediately after this, we get yet another announcement of Brian Pillman's death. They state that Pillman's death was a drug overdose. In what possible way could this have helped Vince's brand by doing this?
I don't know.
No. Again, it was one of those where I felt like I was watching it from the outside, where Vince McMahon is like a man has just died of a drug overdose. It's just, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting on Farouk versus Owen Hart. For some reason, Owen comes out and he looks absolutely destroyed. I feel like he was told about Pillman's death immediately as soon as it happened, because it's so un-Owen Hart to look just miserable.
Yeah, I agree with that. You can see in his walk, his face, and everything. This is a guy that doesn't. They can't just turn it on. Can't turn his character on. It actually reminds me when at SummerSlam '97 when he injured Austin and they knew he had, and how he looked to then. You know, it was just he found it very hard to kind of hide his emotions. Understandably so. But yeah, I think actually Vince even mentions it. Why the commentators even mention that it's probably affecting him, which I thought was again quite a. I don't know. Yeah, it was just bad all round, really.
We get Austin just being absolute lightning on commentary. I mean, in a way, it was inevitable that this guy was going to start his own podcast. He's so good with the headset on. A bit of a hot take here. I actually like Owen Hart's theme music more than Bret's. I like that weird ambulance music. And then the hammer, whatever that sound effect is before it starts with the beat. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, so one of the things I noticed is when it's doing the action replay in the background, you get the kind of the blood text and the black purple forest kind of backdrop. I feel like WWF should maybe have capitalised on WCW's success by doing like a Halloween themed pay-per-view. Like had they made Bad Blood, like had it been Bad Blood 1997, Bad Blood 1998, Bad Blood 1999, they could have really sold some numbers, I think, had they done a Halloween themed pay-per-view. I mean, obviously this takes place a couple of weeks before Halloween, but
no, I mean,
Ron Simmons' Power Slam has to be the best in the business.
Oh yeah,
it's just incredible. There's a weird kind of screwy finish with Owen going over. Opinion on this match? I mean, if you guys were in creative, what would you have done with Farouk? Sorry.
I wouldn't have had him in this match. I like Ron Simmons. I think he's great. I think he's very underused and underutilized in his time in WWF. Character-wise, done great in that, but I didn't really get much of a push as a wrestler. And obviously the APA stuff came later in that. His characters were great. But at this stage, it's a guy that should have really been a contender for the top title, in my opinion. And nothing against him at an IC level. I just didn't think it worked having two clearly obvious heels in the final for this. And obviously the Pullman news really hurt Owen's performance as well. And I didn't like this match at all.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It felt quite stoppy-starty. It just didn't feel like it got going. And yeah, there's no point having two heels face off against each other. As cliched it is, you need the face heel dynamic for a wrestling match to work.
Not just that as well, it's two heels with two factions that don't really play a great deal in this. I know, I thought it was strange all round, and it could have been, I think it would have been a better match on a different night. Yeah, it was just kind of
real 2 out of 5 kind of match.
Yeah.
We get the Disciples of Apocalypse versus Los Pericos. I really loathe the Disciples of Apocalypse, not just because they caused me to balls up my intro here, but just because anyone named Mark Calloway really can't get away with a biker gimmick. The Los Pericos come out, and one of the members is wearing a flannel shirt with a body warmer, which is potentially the most white person gimmick for a team of angry Hispanics. We get Savio repping the combat jeans. I can't imagine any of Los Pericos matches or Disciples of Apocalypse matches made Meltzer's top 10 lists.
I couldn't tell you anything about this match.
No.
It just kind of happened.
You're saying like a flannel shirt and a body warmer. I just thought like you trailed off again, and we were talking about like roofers or something. Like I said, the bell rang for this match, and then the bell rang to end it. And in the middle, I was just looking at my phone because it just did not grab me.
That the whole gang warfare thing that they did from about July to November. But you think about it, they really kind of pushed this for a while. It was great. It was a great idea on paper. It just never worked for me.
The only noteworthy thing in this match is how hairy the guy's shoulders are. Jose, when he's putting on it, I genuinely couldn't believe how hairy this man was. It was like George the Animal Steel. Again, it's over. Really, really poor show, to be honest. I'm really quite surprised this actually takes place after the IC title match. It was higher on the card than Farouk and Owen Hart. This was seen as a higher priority than that, which is just really preposterous. Opinion on this match, I'm going to give it a half star out of 5. Just horrible match.
I'd agree with that, and yeah, you need to remember that Nod versus Lod opened the match, and this near enough closed the pay-per-view.
Again, yeah, absolutely. This was on before Bret Hart and Vader. This would really tragically be Bret and Bulldog's last In Your House pay-per-view appearance. Are there two guys more synonymous with the In Your House pay-per-view than Bret and Bulldog? I feel like they kind of go hand in hand with this stuff.
Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. I say Goldust as well, maybe. Goldust kind of had that kind of In Your House familiarity to it as well, I believed. Aye.
Right, Bret and Bulldog versus Vader and Patriot. I really liked Vader dropped an unscripted bullshit during the match promo. You could see Vince was very I love Vader. I can't express my love for Vader enough. Happy belated birthday, by the way, Vader. Opinion on Vader as a babyface?
No.
I was alright with it. I do refer him as a heel. He's a big monster heel. But I liked being able to cheer him for a change.
I think they were ironically cheering him when he started, and he did the big slam on Gorilla Monsoon. But yeah, I get what you mean. There's always a kind of lovable side to Vader. He just looks like a big teddy bear.
I think Vader, even when he's a heel, you love to hate him. He's one of those, you look at him like, he's just such a bastard. But
yeah,
your life would be empty without him. He's a bit like Edge. Edge as a heel was great because I loved hating Edge. I didn't hate Edge, I loved hating him.
Yes, it's that difference between real heel heat and that kind of go away heat. And Vader definitely had that real heel heat, or real heat kind of phase, I guess you could say. Right off the bat, Bret just immediately no-sells the flag to the back from Del Oaks. I don't know if any of you guys saw this. It's fucking great stuff, Bret. It's like he knows he's going out and he's just like, fuck it.
Do you know what's funny about this match as well? When I was watching Ground Zero last week, I was convinced it was a flag match between Bret Hart and the Patriot. But it was this match I was thinking of. I just basically combined the two. But this is what I was saying. Bret wins the title in August. He fights Taker in one night only. Fair enough, that was a great match. But it wasn't the main event. Bulldog was, and it's in the UK, fair enough. He fights a Patriot at Ground Zero. It's the second last match. He fights in a tag team match here. It's not even the title on the line. Then it's Survivor Series, then he's gone.
Yeah.
97 is probably Bret's best year, but his worst title run.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I remember the first time, I think we were talking about Ground Zero, you mentioned it as being his worst title run. I had to immediately, being the big Bret mark that I am, I thought, no, you're wrong clearly. And then I actually go back and watch and I start saying, this last run's just awful. It really, really is. I mean, obviously it's not the worst of it. The worst thing is the finish at Survivor Series, which causes him to leave. But yeah, the Bret, arguably his best year, and also maybe simultaneously his worst year.
It felt like he was a placeholder.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, he was such an afterthought at this point. He doesn't even get a mention. He's not even seen in the opening package.
No, I know the whole point of him winning that title was to set up the Shawn Taker feud. It felt like.
Yeah, it felt like they just needed someone to hold the belt while they built up. Shawn versus Taker, and if he wasn't out the door at this point, he was certainly eyeing up the exit.
Yeah, this definitely feels like the writing's on the wall for Bret. With the benefit of hindsight, he was really in the swamp. Flag on a pole match. This has to be a Russo idea, surely.
What I couldn't understand about this match when I was watching it was I thought, right, flag on a pole, that's fine. The winner gets the winner wins the match when they grab the flag. Then there's pinfalls and submission attempts, and I started getting confused about the rules to the point I was like, why do we have flags?
Yeah, I kept forgetting. I was looking at the flag and it was like, what are they meant to do here?
It feels like Vader's really making a concerted effort to try and soften up his punches. Like his punches look the softest they've ever been in this match. Was it just a case of too little, too late for Vader? Do you reckon?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think it maybe depends who was punching in the match.
Yeah.
Sometimes a little bit stiffer than others.
It does feel like Bret told him beforehand, just easy now, easy. But again, you hear the old thing with Leon was that he just didn't know his own strength.
Yeah.
Again, he was a big brute.
I love these punches just there.
Yeah, the big bear paws. It's like his shin is just coming round the side of the head. It's not like he ever punched the head. It's like he kind of punched the side of it. That's the only thing I can kind of compare it to. We get an absolutely awful looking figure 4 by Bret, and we get an even worse sharpshooter by the Patriot. This is, I can't believe I'm saying it. It's a really sloppy match.
It's a shame because, do you know what, I actually probably enjoyed this match more than I did the Patriot versus Bret the month before, and it's not great, but I thought it was okay, to be fair, apart from a couple of really sloppy submission attempts, and Vader's backflip off the top rope.
Yeah.
That was worth the entry fee alone.
Definitely. I mean, we've all know the Vader salt, but to land on his feet.
Legitimately gobsmacked watching that spot. And again, a little point here. If I could bring back any wrestler from the dead, Vader would have to be my number one.
Easy. Without a shadow of a
doubt. Bret immediately no-sells a headbutt from the Patriot when he's got Vader in the sharpshooter. Bret's no-selling most of the Patriot stuff here. I was genuinely wondering if these two legitimately had heat. Because Bret just completely fucking ignores Del Wilkes for most of this match and just concentrates on Vader.
It's possible. It's very possible. And it seems like a very un-Bret thing to do as well.
Highlight of this match, easily, the fan running. Right as he gets in, Bulldog proceeds to kick the shit out of him. It's really... you would think, but I know by this point fan runnings are still relatively new, but has there ever been a successful fan running?
Was there one in London where they ran out, I think they 3D'd one of them and then just ran off?
Oh, that's right.
I don't know if it was like Raw or a house show or something, but I think they ran in, did their bit and ran out.
That's right. I remember that because I think people just kind of thought it was part of the show. It was just really bizarre.
I remember there was one where it was like a ladder match between Guerrero and RVD, and one of them running in just started blasting Eddie.
Yeah.
And Eddie immediately starts fighting back. The other one I can think of is, I think it was during a house show with Steve Austin and Triple H, and the fan immediately goes for Steve, weirdly enough, and Triple H, defending Steve, starts kicking him and just screaming at the ref, do your fucking job. Again, no successful fan run-ins, really. Speaking
of the ref, actually, the ref does really well here as well because Bulldog's distracted with the fan. And I think it's Mike Hyoda's the ref. And he kind of just grabs Bulldog and he's back to him and pulls him round. It's almost like focus.
One of the things we completely forgot when we were doing Canadian Stampede, when Austin and Mick are fighting in the crowd, one of the guys tries to put Triple H in a headlock, in the background, and Earl Hebner just swings left and right at him. I tagged Ollie in the clip in WrestleBotch on the Instagram page. If I can find it, I'll tag you in it, because it's Earl is really throwing them. Good guy Earl.
Oh, he's proper kicking his ass.
And then, I think immediately after he's punched me, grabs the shirt to the point where he almost rips it off on a one-er. It's just incredible scenes.
There's actually one for WCW as well, and I can't remember the referee's name for the life of me. He's dead now, but a really famous WCW referee, and he grabs the guy like a chicken wing. See if I can find it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was actually looking at the WrestleWatch Instagram page not that long ago, and they were showing, I think it's a chair shot from an episode of 2000 WCW where it's Hulk Hogan, and he just taps the guy on the head. The chair, and immediately it cuts to Tony Schiavone going, what? He couldn't have made it any more painfully obvious if he tried. Bret gets the win with a roll-up. Admittedly, it's quite a slick looking roll-up, to tell you the truth. Opinion on this match? I don't know if it's
Why the flags there? Why is that a flag match? You just won my roll up, as you mentioned.
I don't know if it's maybe because the rest of the card is so poor, so I'm going to give it an extra star to 2.5 out of 5. But it's not good. It's really not good, and it breaks my heart as a Bret fan to say this.
Yeah, it wasn't a great match.
Do you think they deliberately booked a terrible pay-per-view just in case the Hell in a Cell didn't really pay off how they wanted it to be? It would instantly elevate it regardless.
Definitely tradition.
I think that's a fair way to look at it.
Immediately after this, we get the Survivor Series Gang Rules promo. Now, of all the matches, of all the wrestlers that they could potentially hype up, we get a black and white video package, and of everything, we get, drum roll please, Los Boricuas versus Nation of Domination versus Disciples of Apocalypse. Jesus fucking Christ, how long did it take management to realise that this dog was not hunting?
Do you know, I actually genuinely wish the worst thing about Survival Series 97 was Los Boricuas deal.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I completely forgot that Survivor Series 97 was subtitled Gang Rules.
Yeah.
As a tribute to this. Of all the things they could have called it. Yeah. Right, getting on to really the only thing to talk about as far as Bad Blood 97 goes, the Hell in a Cell match. Before this, we get the Shawn pre-match interview. This has to be the best stage of DX. Rick Rude, Chyna, Shawn, and Trevor. I can't think of a better version of that faction.
Yeah, it seemed like an organic faction because Chyna and Triple H seemed like an odd pairing to begin with, but they worked. Triple H and Shawn definitely seemed like a very strange pairing, and Rick Rude was just cool as with his suit on and his insurance policy. It just seems like a really strange motley crew, but they made it work very well because it did seem dead organic. They seemed like people that genuinely hang about in real life in a faction rather than we're on a faction now, so we're going to dress the same and have a catchphrase, but it didn't seem manufactured in any way.
They really bounced off each other as well, like you said.
What do you guys make of Shawn's kind of Spartacus shoulder sling, like the black and silver armour? I dig it. I have to say, it's one of his better looks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very fresh look.
Shawn immediately calls himself the man in this promo, and again, as much as it pains me as a Bret Hart fan to say this, yeah, he's eclipsed Bret by this point. He is truly the man. Other big thing about this match, why wasn't the European title on the line?
It was strange. I said that earlier. Why did Shawn even have the... We all know why Shawn had the belt in a real world backstage type scenario, but from a storyline point of view, why Shawn got this belt?
That's definitely politicking, because even the way he was talking in the pre-match interview, he was just really hyping up and hamming up the fact he's got the European title. And it's but I'm glad it's not on the line. It's right, okay, cheers.
I feel like the minute that strap came off Bulldog, it just nosedived and legitimately say. Because after Bulldog had it, it got passed about every other couple of months. It just became another belt rather than Bulldog's belt. The match starts. Undertaker's music hits, and Shawn is immediately selling lightning bolts. I know we've said this before, but what an underrated seller Shawn is.
He really sells it well.
Does. I mean, I love everything about this match, and just the wee things here is you've got the commentators really bigging up the fact that this is probably going to be Shawn's last match, not because he's retiring, but because the Undertaker will kill him. And you've got Shawn acting like he's genuinely scared to be there because he knows he's not going to have Triple H and Rick Rude helping him. And Taker just walks like a guy. It's like, I'm going to enjoy this. And when he takes his jacket off and throws it, he looks excited for what's going to happen. And the chemistry to him here It's so subtle in many ways, but just really adds to the story. And it's funny as well because you've got like Taker as a big monster here, and Shawn's the heel.
Aye, it's really very interesting dynamic. As soon as the match begins, we get some of the most in-your-face camera work I have ever seen. I think this has to be the first match and maybe the only match that's been shot entirely in close-ups.
Yeah, again, obviously they're probably finding their feet with this one as well.
You would imagine, like, though, when they were actually constructing the thing, they would have maybe had 3 or 4 camera guys, and he's going to maybe just try and network how they were going to shoot this thing.
No, that's too clever and well planned.
That feels very like a now Vince decision as opposed to then where maybe it would just be improved on the cuff.
And it really works. It really adds to the danger element, I think, of the match. And the camera works exceptional here. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, it hammed up the claustrophobia of it as well.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yeah. Point. That is great. Shawn hits Taker with a pile driver on the steel steps. I'm still in awe as to why this move wasn't banned immediately after the Austin thing at SummerSlam. Like, even guys who'd used it for years, I still wouldn't let them use it based on... I mean, the company's brightest prospect was put on the shelf and had his career severely shot. I feels like that and the powerbomb are the 2 moves that I would never ever allow, just based on how many guys it's fucking done in.
Yeah, I'd have just stopped it straight away.
Mm.
And Undertaker's got like 3 finishers. Like, you can get away with, removing one. Shawn loses his temper immediately after this and starts swearing at the cameraman. Was this a shoot or a work? I'm still in the dark even today.
Because of what happens, I'm inclined to say a work, but I'm not convinced.
Knowing late 90s Shawn Michaels, I'd say it's a shoot.
Yeah, it certainly feels like it. Maybe it's just because that's how it's supposed to feel like, but it does seem like a shoot. And they mentioned something in the commentary later that it's 2 different cameramen he gets annoyed at. So maybe it was a shoot actually. It just happened to work in his favour for what happens next.
Well, I feel obligated to say this. When I was looking at the WrestleWatch page on Instagram a couple of months ago, I realised something in the Shawn versus Bret match from Mania 12. There's a bit where Shawn drags Bret's arm into the ring post for like the outside of the rope, so he jumps off and he actually crash lands into a cameraman. And you actually hear the audio getting picked up as Shawn going, "Get the fuck out of the way, numbnuts." And you actually hear Vince saying, "Oh, Shawn very clearly, in the heat of the moment, like trying to cover it." That's such an un-96 thing to say. Yeah. But after that, Shawn takes the backdrop onto the canvas and starts hitting some really snug-looking kicks to that cameraman, by the way. I mean, he looks stiff as fuck. I just remember as a kid, like, when I first saw this match, thinking Shawn had broke kayfabe and just started legitimately hurting that fucking cameraman.
Again, it's one of those, like, however hard they try to make it look real, whenever something real happens, you're like, nah, hang on a minute. Yeah. Did they need to do this?
But it's just the stiffness and the kicks. Like, watching that, I was thinking, that really can't be worked. Like, the thrust that he's fucking putting into that guy's head, like, he really, really looks like he's hurting him.
For me, it's when he picks him up, then kind of just throws him round the corner of the ring. It just seems like it's weird why he does it, but that makes it look more real to me.
Going to go out on a limb here and call this the first kind of scratchy logo WWF match, if that makes sense. When I first saw clips of this, like in the throwbacks, I was always shocked that they were still using the new generation logo. Like the blue and white, no, not the blue and white, the blue and yellow logo really doesn't gel with this match whatsoever. I feel like, and another interesting note when I was looking this up, Bad Blood 1987 was actually the first WWF home video release that had an 18th certificate. So it feels like, this is for all intents and purposes a scratchy logo match.
It felt like a change of the guard moment.
Another thing I completely forgot about this pay-per-view is Shawn is technically the first person to take the bump off the cell.
Yeah.
But obviously everyone remembers King of the Ring 98 as being the big Mick Foley spot. Why does the Mankind bump feel so much more grandiose?
Just the violence with which he was thrown off the cell. It feels like
he's in the air forever.
Yeah, it feels like he's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour and falling from like 10 miles in the sky. And the commentary with it as well, it's just absolutely, it's feral. It's ridiculous.
So unexpected as well. I mean, with the Shawn, you see him kind of dangling, and gone. But Mankind, it was just like, there's no way. Oh my God, he's done.
He's dead. They've killed him.
Yeah.
The infamous Jericho.
Oh God.
With this one, you get the incoming. I love that.
Because when I dressed as Mankind for Halloween, because someone didn't know who I was, as soon as you showed them the clip, they're like, "Oh yeah, I know who you are." It's an iconic moment.
I think it has been used in just about every celebration. I mean, it used to be in the actual Raw opening package, like when they were showing all the clips. But the Shawn one almost never ever gets seen or used. And there's one big reason you can chalk that. Number one, Shawn's bleeding profusely, which is maybe a big reason they don't show it. However, that shot is from the back, so it's really just his hair. You see him going at the desk. But again, that Mick Foley one, it was used everywhere.
You should probably remember as well for Mick Foley's book, it was Shawn falling off the cell. They're like, how do we top that? But it's funny, I go back a wee bit before they get out the cage. The timing of all that is amazing. For Shawn attacking the cameraman, getting back to work with Taker, them coming down, opening the cage, then Shawn seeing the gap and going for it. It's also worked so well. It's so fluid. There's not a jump, a stop, and a pause. It just works so quickly, and then he's out just like that. And the blade job he does is really bad.
Oh yeah, I think one of the reasons the Mankind thing is Shawn immediately there's dead weight off the cell, whereas with Mick, it's like he's up there. It's like he's falling for 30 seconds. It's like, it reminds me of the Scott Hall runner, where it's like, this is so much longer, in my head than it actually was in reality. But yeah, absolutely. And I think getting on to one of the reasons this match is as celebrated as it is I think it sort of reminds me more of the old guard wrestling critics, so like an old NWA kind of 70s style match, like the kind of matches that, Ric Flair would have with Harley Race. Like, it feels like an old throwback match to like a time when they would always bleed and everything would go 40 minutes and it's all going to be Broadway. Like, it reminds me of it's southern wrestling at its finest, I think, is one of the reasons.
Yeah. It's two blokes fighting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, again, I saying that, I feel like that's one of the big problems with today's product. Again, I know we need an excuse to rag on nowadays stuff, but watching this, it's so easy to think these two fucking hate one another. And getting on to today's rivalries, when was the last time you watched a match and think these two guys absolutely can't stand one another? Like, because I was watching the Jim Cornette show and he was talking about how after the Seth Drew match at Money in the Bank, they hug. That's your top heel and your top babyface, and they're hugging like immediately as soon as the match is done. That just kind of ruins the fourth wall of it all, doesn't it? Or it doesn't really feel earned.
Do you think they're going to try and move Seth back into a babyface role with the fatherhood coming up and things like that? It's a shame because he's really a good heel in my opinion, but I thought it was strange when he had this kind of show of respect after it. I didn't think it worked personally. But do you know, I've seen Drew do that quite a lot in the indies as well. Fight a big heel. Especially, I saw him at ICW a few years ago when he fought Chris Renfrew. And Chris Renfrew was kind of like the kind of Steve Austin style heels where everybody loved him, but he was still a heel. And after it, that kind of show of respect type thing, you're like, yeah, I suppose, but at the same time, you're doing it after a lot of your matches now. We get it. You're the man.
I just think Seth's entire personality is he's a heel. Like, he looks like a heel.
He looks like a heel.
Heel's moveset. He talks like a heel. He moves like a heel. He looks like a heel. For all intents and purposes, he may or well may not be a heel IRL. But yeah, no, he screams heel vibes to me. The whole thing about face Seth, it's like face Randy Orton. It just doesn't work. it's too keyless. You're too far gone past any kind of redemption arc.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. It's when he put his hand out, I don't mind wrestlers kind of like having a wee kind of breaking the fourth wall type thing. I think there's a time and place for it. I don't think an empty arena is the place for it. Where you've not got the crowd there to kind of give you a kind of standing ovation and a mark of respect.
Yeah, you need the crowd to get behind you on something like that.
Yeah, it's almost like Vince just saying, I'm going to turn heel on the COVID here by having my guys hug after the match.
Yeah, it's very, very fucking behind the curtain. Like, I know it's customary with the guys to thank one another after the match and all that, but it's just, no, that was really needed. Finally, we get the big red machine, the Kane debut. Greatest debut, bar none. Does wrestling need, and it's quite funny hearing Jim Cornette talk about this in one of his YouTube clips. One of the big inspirations was Kane was Michael Myers. If you go back and watch Halloween, which was apparently his favourite horror film, and he would try and film the vignettes like the Michael Myers through the eye holes and that. Do we need more Michael Myers big monsters in today's product?
Yeah, I mean, I'd really get the Michael Myers thing. I'm a massive Halloween fan, and it was always wee head tilts Kid would do.
Yeah,
it was really creepy. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Japanese wrestling years ago, but they actually had a Michael Myers character, a Jason Voorhees character, and a Freddy Krueger and Leatherface. They just basically had movie monsters. But the guy that played Michael Myers was called the Boogeyman, I think, and it was really good because he moved like him, he wrestled like him.
The only other guy I can think of that they could have packaged or kind of made that Kane-ish debut was Khali. I mean, Khali came in and he had all the momentum in the world, but if ever there was a guy to put a mask on and just push to the moon, it should have been Khali.
Yeah, I feel like Khali should have been used better.
Because, again, I don't think coming in anyone had ever seen someone that tall. I mean, technically, yeah, Andre was 7'5", Khali was 7'3", but I mean, the idea that Undertaker had to look up to somebody was just shocking. I remember like watching that clip on YouTube as a child and being like, Jesus Christ, that guy is so humongous.
I know, but he could barely walk, let alone work. Punjabi prison match. I don't know. I'd have done something like that with Braun Strowman actually. If we had the black sheep mask on originally, they would take off. Should have kept that on him.
Mm-hmm. Shawn gets the win, easily the best match of the night. I feel like the rest of the pay-per-view being so horrible actually elevates this match, like you were saying. A couple of stops. I mean, I got to give it 5 out of 5. It really is that good.
Yeah, match of the year probably.
I think, fun fact, this was actually Dave Meltzer's last 5-star kind of WWF match before CM Punk versus John Cena in 2011.
Wow.
So this was, again, absolutely. So, opinion on the show as a whole?
It's quite poor.
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy it. It felt like a chore watching it, and actually, my network on the PS4 keeps like fucking up, and the timing thing got stuck, and I opened up just before Undertaker Michaels to see, how long have I got left, because I've got shit to be getting on with.
Yeah.
And it was like stuck on an hour and a half, and I was like, oh my fucking God, what comes after this? Can you just please stop? Can you just please release me from this hell?
When we talked about doing this, I always thought that was the one thing, like, we would agree to quit if it ever felt like work, and I felt so close to packing it in here, because this is such a strenuous fucking pay-per-view. I mean, you talk about rose-tinted specs. I remember the first time I watched this, thinking, well, this doesn't feel well. But going back and watch this, I know we talk about the Attitude Era, the rose-tinted specs and all that. This was horrible. This was a really horrible pay-per-view.
It was terrible. Just thankfully they had that stellar match at the end of it. And if I was there, if I was there in the crowd, I would have left happy, because I wouldn't have remembered anything before that match. And I'd have went back to school or work or whatever, just told everybody how good the Hell in a Cell was, because that's all I'd have been remembered. But yeah, overall, it's not a good show.
Yeah, I think obviously Hell in a Cell. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give props to Noddy and Lodi. I think that's a good supporting act. Had that been the match before Michaels and Taker, that really would have helped save the rest of the pay-per-view. But yeah, no, I got to give it, even with Shawn and Taker, I mean, I'm going to go 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. No, 4.5 out of 10. My rating system is really fucking skewed.
Is 4.5 out of 10 good?
6 out of 5 stars, as Meltzer would say.
I'm going to go 2 out of 10.
Oh!
That's a tough one. I'm gonna go 4 out of 10 for the show overall, which is a strange thing to say when the last match is a Stone Cold classic.
Yeah, it has one of the best matches of '97. It's just a shame it's trapped inside one of the worst pay-per-views of 1997. I feel like that's a decent enough.
Yeah,
it feels like a reward at the end of it, but at the same time, through 2 hours. Well, let's say an hour and 45, because yeah, Noddy Loddy was a good match, but by the time you get to Michaels Undertaker, it's so far away you just can't remember it.
Yeah,
it's like a childhood memory.
Yeah, I think we've recapped Bad Blood '97 pretty well. Right, a closing segment. Other news. WWE's Mick Foley was unsure about the Undertaker documentary until he saw the first episode by Matt Elfring of GameSpot.com. This is really just a framing device so that we can talk about what we really want to talk about, the Undertaker Last Ride documentary. What did we all make of episode 1?
I loved it.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, to peek behind the curtain of someone like the Undertaker, who's always famously been, the character's been quite closely guarded. The man's been quite closely guarded. Like, I remember finding out that Mark Calloway was married to Michelle McCool, and he developed property, and it's like, no, he's a dead man from Death Valley. He's not a real person. So to actually get a forensic look at a man who, for all intents and purposes, is a dead fucking mortician, it was great.
It's right off the bat, we should say it's the best thing that WWE have done in 12, 13 years. Easy. I mean, it is that good. I feel like, based on the strength of if the other episodes are as strong as this, I think it can be right below the Bret Hart documentary, in my estimation. I mean, we have to accept the fact that WWE is now largely a documentary factory. Like, their documentaries are always ace. The production design, it's always like, this almost felt like ESPN had already purchased the company. And it's like, this is like the output of what we can expect. This felt like it felt like an actual documentary and not a propaganda or a puff piece by WWE. I mean, I never thought in 2020 I would finish a WWE thing with a huge smile on my face. And I did. And there's good, I mean, it's almost always good, but there's a shot about halfway through the episode we see Undertaker, and he's limping, and he's wearing like the nylon shorts and the t-shirt, and he's smiling. And it was the first time I'd ever actually properly got emotional watching WWE, and that was just in general, because it was like, I remember the last episode we were talking about feeling bad for the wrestlers, but just that mental image of like Mark Calloway limping with like, and he doesn't look sad or miserable or anything. He's smiling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, it cut through me like a knife.
There's so many things to take away from it. I mean, I love the bit when it's before the Bray Wyatt match, and he's sitting kind of having doubts, and Triple H goes out to him, puts an arm around him, and he's like, remember who you are, fucking Undertaker.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love that. And after his match with Roman Reigns and that, and Triple H is the first guy standing, you see him, you kind of really, I don't think enough is made of those two in their rivalry and that clear, obvious friendship and respect to have.
Well, one of the big takeaways I took away from it is, hearing all the shoot interviews and that from all the other guys, like they always talk about Mark Calloway being this really kind of shy, reserved, private human being. Like, he doesn't really, he likes to kind of view things from far. But one of the things this documentary shows is like, he's like immediately going up to guys and shaking their hand and asking them how they're doing and all that. And you just think, it's harsh, as weird as this, I didn't know he was such a warm human being.
Mm-hmm.
He's so, like, not abrasive, but he's up front. He'll go and he'll talk to people regardless of if he thought they were wanting to talk to him or not.
I love the clip of him at the hotel. He's checking in, and Roman Reigns checks in next to him. He turns and says, "Oh, you couldn't just keep kayfabe for 5 minutes."
Yeah.
Because a party's thinking, do I want to see the Taker laughing and joking? Do I want to see this side of him? And then you see it and go, yeah, I do. I want to see more.
The bit with his wife I found really, really heartbreaking, where she's like, they have no idea how much pain he's in, like just to get through the day. And I remember when I was reading Shawn's second book, I think it was called Wrestling for My Life or something like that, but he talks about how like every morning he has to get up, it's like there's the pain pills and then there's the heat pads that he has to stick on his back just to get around. And it's just for all the money these guys accept, no, you can't pay off that damage. They'll last guys. And I'll make a quickly a last point about the episode before we go, but throw Jim Cornette's name in the ring again when he was talking about how, you know, Taker says in the interview, I can't work a full schedule anymore, and he cuts maybe the saddest face we've ever seen Undertaker. It's like he feels like he's let himself down, and it's like you have nobody left to prove yourself to. Like you've came, you've saw, you've conquered. And one of the things Jim Cornette was talking about, how it sort of reminded him of like John Wayne and the Searchers, or Hugh Jackman and Logan. He's the old gunslinger. It's like all the Red Indians have gone, all the Native Americans have gone. It's like he's a man, like Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven was the big kind of parallel that I took away with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So even when his like star was like massively rising, he was massively huge, he'd still appear on SmackDown every week. He'd still put the hours in. I think, the fact that he only gets wheeled out for, like WrestleMania and whatever it's fucking called in Saudi Arabia, I think that must hurt him a lot that he's not able to go out there and work every week.
Mm-hmm. He's at 55.
Yeah, and one of the things that the WrestleMania YouTube channel was pointing out that last year he signed a new contract with Vince, a 15-year contract. He's going to be 70 by the time he leaves the WWE. He's been there since he was 25.
That's insane.
It's ridiculous to think about.
Yeah. Also, sorry, I know I said last point, but little Easter egg. Big Show says like he wrestled a match with 110 degree fever, came back and was drizzling at both ends. I thought that audio clip should have been snipped. Like if ever there was the one thing I didn't want to mentally picture, it was Undertaker shitting out both ends, like pissing out of his arse.
It's one of those. He's an immortal dead guy, and he just has violent diarrhea, and it's a case of. I grew up getting chills when you'd raise your hands and the lights had come on, and now I've got that image of you just being like violently ill.
Second bit of news: WWE officially strips Sami Zayn of IC title after he chooses to stay at home during COVID-19 pandemic by Alex McCarthy of Talksport.com. Now, if Sami Zayn's smart, he will try and use this to his advantage, where he'll say, I never properly lost the strap, and he'll turn up to like TV with the belt, much the same way Shawn did after his kind of steroids thing. I feel like he's not going to, but yeah, would you guys make of this by any chance?
I didn't really think much of it. We can all debate. We can have a whole show debating whether we should have wrestling or not during this time. I don't blame Sami Zayn for wanting to stay at home, but at the same time, they need the belt on TV.
Surely they've got a spare somewhere.
Just take the old one back out.
Yeah.
Pass that off.
Yeah, this was very much just another article for the sake of another article. Getting on to our last bit of gossip, and someone quite mixed about talking to. WWE Hall of Famer Sonny is making £250,000 a year selling photos on OnlyFans by Oliver Browning of Oliver Browning of GameSpot.com.
No, I'm doing an inside job on that one.
Woof.
Well, she's not getting it off me, especially since she blocked me on Twitter, and I still don't know why. If anybody's listening, please tweet Sonny and ask her why she's blocked me. I can't think why I said nothing bad about her online.
You're closing down your market demographic that way. My view is that I don't have a view, but if she's able to make like a high-ranking CEO salary by just having an OnlyFans, more fucking power to her. I'd love to make
Yeah.
250 grand on OnlyFans.
You can't really criticise in that way.
Sorry, the news shocked that I had to get out of the room there. I really hope she makes every penny she can from this, and then proceeds to just leave the business altogether and starts life again as some kind of vegan Buddhist or something. I mean, I really hope, like, I hope she gives a decent chunk of it to a financial advisor, and just like does a complete kind of. I mean, if ever there was a person that needed a second chance, it was Sunny. I really hope she runs this into number one. Going back and like watching the Rise and Fall of Sunny on YouTube, one of the things is they make a point is that she was offered Playboy when she was 23 for an enormous sum of money, and she turned it down, and obviously that whole thing went to Sable, and obviously her kind of stock rose like nothing on earth. But if you look back at Sunny's had a tragic life. I think we're universally agreed on that. I mean, there was the whole thing with Shawn, and then, I think in her book that she mentioned she had a miscarriage when she was in WWF Class 8. She lost a whole bunch of money working with Paul Heyman in ECW over, like, she would use her credit cards for assets for Paul that was never properly reimbursed. She went to WCW like a year before it shut down. She was working in Puerto Rico for nothing. I mean, I guess she's 47 now, so however many years she's still got left in the OnlyFans business, I really hope she bleeds this for everything it's worth, takes every penny, and moves to a log cabin in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, she deserves a good retirement, and if this funds it, then absolutely go for it.
No, I mean, and again, she can be quite abrasive in interviews, like, until she has a real personality to her. I pray that she uses this money as the get out fund, like one last score and this is it. But knowing that, again, I think it was in 2013 or 2014, she was arrested like 5 times in the space of a month, and knowing the kind of trajectory her life is on currently, I don't want to see it go to pills and drugs. Frankly, I'm amazed Sunny has made it as far as she is. The fact that she's still alive is nothing short of a miracle, especially when you consider her somas and her painkiller abuse and alcohol abuse. I really hope DDP, she can use that money to consult him and just does the big U-turn. But yeah, really hope. I don't want to see this be Sunny's death. In other words, I really hope she uses this to her advantage.
Agreed.
Yeah, whatever case, I wish her well with this.
Yeah.
Again, 250 grand, no small feat. So, especially for her at 47 on OnlyFans, yeah, absolutely. Right, I think we've covered just about all bases on In Your House Bad Blood.
Absolutely.
So, are we doing In Your House 1 next weekend?
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah.
Right, guys, I'm just going to sign off. Take care, lads.
Excellent.
Take care, guys. All the best. Cheers.